Everybody, I am so sorry I didn't post a video last week. It was just one of those weeks where I just had no time for anything. But I'm back with a new video for you, and this week's video I'm going to show you my 10 favorite books that I have read and that I recommend you guys check out and read. I will be showing you some Christian books, and I really hate using this term, but I guess secular books, because I don't know how else to describe them. So one thing you should know about me is that I am a sucker for a good romance novel. I do like other novels as well, like other genres. I do like action and adventure and fantasy and the occasional science fiction, but I'm not too into science fiction. But I prefer romance novels, and you can laugh at me or whatever, but that's just what I prefer, and that's gonna be primarily what I'm gonna show you. Is like, some of them are romance, adventure, fantasy kind of thing, right? As long as it has some kind of romance in it, then I'm good. I am a sucker for a good romance novel. Anyway, let's just get started. Alright, the first book I'm going to show you is one that I have loved for a very long time, and you are going to make fun of me and you're going to laugh at me and be like, you're such a loser, Kaydee, but I don't care because I am a proud fan of, you're probably going to guess it, the Twilight series. I absolutely love this series. I don't care how cheesy it is, or, you know, how creepy it is that Edward's like a 100-year-old vampire going after a teenager. It doesn't matter because it is fiction. It is not real. It is just a book for entertainment, and I am thoroughly entertained by the Twilight series. I read this back probably in 2006 or 2007. My cousin lent it to me, and you know what? I read the first book one day when I was homesick from school, and I read the whole first book in one night, and I was hooked. And then I read the second and the third book in a weekend. That's how crazily obsessed I was. And yeah, I've just always loved the Twilight series. Now, I know everyone's like, oh, Twilight, that sucks. Well, okay, first off, the movies definitely were horrible, and they portrayed the Twilight franchise in a horrible way. They just weren't the right actors. They weren't very good actors. They couldn't act. It was just awful. Just purely awful. The books are 100% better. And you know what? Those of you who judge me, if you haven't read it, read it, and then you can judge me, okay? Until you've read it, you have no right to judge, okay? And yeah, if you like I said, I'm obsessed with romance novels, and this is just a hardcore romance novel, and I like it, and I will always like it. And final fact about this, I think I've read it like 4 or 5 times, so yeah, you can judge me a little bit. The next novel I'm going to show you is one of my favorite Christian novels, and this is one of the first Christian novels that I ever really got into, and it is the Caitlin O'Connor Diary of a Teenage Girl series by Melody Carlson, and I just absolutely love this book. I fell in love with it the first time I read it, and it's cool because it's called A Diary of a Teenage Girl, so she actually wrote it so it kind of looks like diary entries, and they're just really quick, easy books to read. They are more of a teen book, obviously. I haven't read it recently, but I do have the whole series, and I love them. They're really, you know, they're inspirational, and there's a cute guy in it, obviously, which is why I continued to read it. You'll be rooting for this character the entire book, and you know, they have some really good points. So if you know, are a Christian, or you aren't, even if you're not a Christian, you actually might enjoy this series. But if you're a teen teen girl, that sounds better. If you're a Christian teen girl, then I just recommend you guys go check these books out because they're great, and yeah, I love it. Melody Carlson, wonderful author. Up next is another, it's quite famous, I would say. It's a pretty famous book, and my cousin, the same cousin, actually recommended this series to me as well. So shout out to Selena. Thank you so much for recommending so many good books to me. But this one, I haven't actually read it multiple times, but I just really liked the story, and I recommend you guys to check this one out. Actually, boys and girls can read this. So it's The City of Bones by Cassandra Clare, and I just thoroughly enjoyed this. It had action, adventure, fantasy, romance, mystery, it was all of the above. The entire series is just amazing. Cassandra Clare does an amazing job of creating this fantasy world, and you just get lost in it. There is 6 books in this series. I have read 5 of them. I'm on the last one, but the last one is like 2 of these, and it's just, I haven't had time to read it. Plus also she has a spin-off series called the Clockwork series, and there's 3 books in that. I've read 2 of those, and I'm on the 3rd one of that too. Again, just really been too busy to read too much lately, but this book just, so good. Read you the excerpt. This has also been made into a movie, and if you saw the movie, you might be like, ooh, that was horrible. Again, the movie was not good. The actors were not the best choice. In my opinion, they weren't the best choice. But the book is so much better, and you'll fall in love with the character Clary and Jace. Their relationship, it's just oh, yes. So, a little excerpt here. It says, when 15-year-old Clary Frey heads out to the Pandemonium Club in New York City, she hardly expects to witness a murder, much less a murder committed by 3 teenagers covered with strange tattoos and brandishing bizarre weapons. Then the body disappears into thin air. It's hard to call the police when the murderers are invisible to everyone else, and when there's nothing, not even a smear of blood, to show that a boy has died. Or was he a boy? This is Clary's first meeting with the Shadow Hunters, warriors dedicated to ridding the earth of demons. It's also her first encounter with Jace, a shadow hunter who looks a little like an angel and acts a lot like a jerk. Within 24 hours, Clary is pulled into Jace's world with vengeance when her mother disappears and Clary herself is attacked by a demon. But why would demons be interested in ordinary mundanes like Clary and her mother? And how did Clary suddenly get the sight? The Shadow Hunters would like to know. And that's all I'm going to read, because I don't want to bore you with a long. You can just read it yourself and enjoy it. And again, boys and girls. I had boy cousins read this, so go and give this a read. It's just so good. When I read stuff like this, I'm just awed at how people can have this much creative ideas come out and spill out onto a page. So, alright, this next one is a ultimate favorite. I have read this whole series, I think, 2 or 3 times now. There are 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, my math is horrible, clearly, 15, 16. There are 16 books in the series so far, and there are still, I think, 2 more books to come actually, but this is the Christy Miller series. And I know all of my friends are laughing at me right now, but this has just been a favorite for a long time, and this series just follows this young girl, Christy Miller, throughout her life, starting at age 15, all the way up to age, I don't know how old she is in the last book that just came out, I think she's 23 or 24, and it's just a cute coming of age story of a girl, and then like I said, it follows her life all the way high school, college. 1 second while I beat my cat senseless. Anyway, sorry about that. Don't know what I was saying, but really great story. Books by Robin Jones Gunn. She's an amazing Christian author, and I really love her books a lot. It looks like it's a really huge book, but it's actually 3 books in one, so there's 4 volumes of these, and then another 3 books, and then another 1 book for a new series. But they're really great. I can read you a quick excerpt of the first book. It says, It's called Summer Promise. 14-year-old Christy Miller has the dream summer ahead of her in sun-kissed California, staying with her aunt and uncle at their beachfront home. Aunt Marty loves to shop, and those surfers are cute, especially Todd. Christy promised her parents she wouldn't do anything she'd regret later, and some of her beach friends are a little wild. But Todd and his god-lover friends are giving Christy a new image of all things eternal. Can this summer live up to its promise? So again, this is a teen book, but you know, I still love it even though I'm in my 20s now. I still love it, and again, Christian teen girls, go out and read Christy Miller and you will fall in love with these characters. They're so great. Alright, my next one is a Nicholas Sparks book. Gotta have a Nicholas Sparks in there. You know, you would think my favorite would be like The Notebook or A Walk to Remember, but actually, The Notebook and A Walk to Remember, his actual novels, were not as good as the movies. I actually preferred the movies over the novel. But this one, I really enjoyed. The Last Song, I think I did read this. I read this before the movie came out, and I really liked the movie too. And I didn't mind that Miley Cyrus was in it. She was okay in it. I really enjoyed that Liam Hemsworth was in it. Side note. I'm sure most girls enjoyed that Liam Hemsworth was in it. But the book was really good, and again, it's more of a teen book because the characters are teenagers. But it was just a really fun, easy read, and if you like romance novels, girlies, go out and read it. This one I actually had to read for my university. I think it was my Victorian literature class, and it is Dracula by Bram Stoker. This, you know, I thought, oh, it's gonna be really dry and boring because it's an old book, right? So good, actually. Really worth the read, and it really clears up a whole lot of the vampire stuff because this is one of the first kind of like vampire novels that was written, and it's just a really interesting read, and Bram Stoker does a really good job. The book is kind of set in like diary entries. Basically, if you don't know what this is about, like if you've never heard of Dracula, which I would be seriously surprised if you've never heard of Dracula, you've been living under a rock. But basically, when Jonathan Harker visits Transylvania to help Count Dracula purchase a London house, he makes horrifying discoveries in his client's castle. Soon afterwards, disturbing incidents unfold in England. An unmanned ship is wrecked, strange puncture marks appear on a young woman's neck, and a lunatic asylum inmate raves about the imminent arrival of his master. In the ensuing battle of wits between the sinister Count and a determined group of adversaries, Bram Stoker created a masterpiece of the horror game. So good, actually. Like, normally the books that they forced me to read in school, I'm kind of like, blah. But this was one of the better ones, so I'm really glad I actually got to read this one. With this book, I actually listened to part of it on Audible, which the person who voices it on Audible does like some crazy awesome, there was a bunch of people and they do some awesome voices for it, and you know, it actually scared me a little bit, like to points where I couldn't listen to it at night because it kind of freaked me out because I'm just a little chicken. But yeah. This is just one of those classic books where you have to read Dracula. You just can't not read Dracula. Okay, this one is one of my ultimate favorites. Like, it is one of the best told stories that I've ever read. And again, this is one of those authors where I'm like just in awe of that she came up with this story and could write it so well, and it's just, I love it. I haven't read this more than once. Because it's quite a long book, and I just, you know, have so many other books to read. But anyway, you don't care about that. You just want to see which one I'm talking about. This is another Christian novel, and it is called A Voice in the Wind. It is from the series is called Mark of the Lion, and this is book 1, obviously, by Francine Rivers. She's an amazing author. Christians and non-Christians, you guys should read this. Like, even if you don't believe in God, just think of this as another fiction book because the story in it is just outstanding. Like, I just can't even describe to you how good this book is. It doesn't look like there's a big long description, but basically it says, Torn by her love for a handsome aristocrat, a young slave girl clings to her faith in the living God for deliverance from the forces of decadent Rome. I think I said that right. Basically, this is set back obviously in the Roman periods, and this girl, her name is Hadassah, and she is I think she's Jewish. I think she's a Jew. And she gets taken from her homeland and sold as a slave to this rich family in Rome, and the guy, his name is Marcus. I believe it's Marcus. Yes, it is Marcus. The character Marcus, he starts out as kind of like this brooding, mean owner, but he slowly, his walls are come down as he gets to know Hadassah and starts to look at her as more than just a slave girl. And it's just a wonderful story, and there are 3 books to this series, and they are all just awesome reads. Like, I highly recommend these books. Again, Christian, non-Christian, you need to read these. These are just an amazing piece of literature. It's good. Now we're on to some definite tearjerker books. This is a Christian novel by Karen Kingsbury called 1,000 Tomorrows. Now, I don't cry easily, but it takes a lot to make me cry. Like, I don't cry really in movies. Like, unless a dog dies, I'll cry, and I definitely don't really cry in books. But this book, I bawled like a baby, like a little tiny baby. It was awful. I couldn't, there were points where I had to stop reading this because it was so sad that I couldn't take it anymore. Basically, Karen Kingsbury is one of those writers that always has something tragic happen, and there's just some of her books where you can't not cry when you read it. So this one, it says, love found them in a way that it seldom finds anyone. A talented cowboy, angry and isolated, a mysterious woman with a secret. The two are national champions, top of their game, alone and intent on staying that way. How could they know what would happen when their 2 worlds met, and what fears must they face if together they ignite a love that burns brighter than both of them? I'm already I kind of feel like I'm gonna cry just thinking about it, because it was just so good, and it was a cute love story, and just, yeah. Obviously this is more for a girl, but you know what, boys, come on, try it out. Alrighty, I have another classic to show you. This one is, drum roll please, Pride and Prejudice by Jane Austen. I really enjoy this book, immensely. I actually don't really, surprisingly enough, I don't really like any of her other books. Well, okay, to be fair, I haven't read a lot of her other books. I've read Sense and Sensibility, which was kind of bleh. So I've been hesitant to read any more, but Pride and Prejudice, it's just, how can you not love Pride and Prejudice? Seriously, people, the ultimate romance of 2 stubborn people who fall in love, and it's so great, and I absolutely love the movies. Not the movies, I should be specific, the movie, the one with Keira Knightley, and I think it's Matthew McFadden, I think that's his name, but this book is so good, and you haven't lived if you haven't read Pride and Prejudice at least once in your lifetime. Even if you've hated it after, you have to read it at least once, because it is one of those books that's just a hardcore classic. So I'm not even going to tell you what this one's about, because most of you probably know what Pride and Prejudice is about. Clearly in the title, Pride and Prejudice. Go give this a read. Alrighty, this is my last and final book. This is my last Christian book to show you. Actually, this is 2 books, but it's bound in 1 copy, so I'm cheating and calling this one. It is by Karen Kingsbury again, and it is Even Now and Ever After. Oh my gosh, I can't even describe how amazing this book was. Again, bawled like a little baby. I think I bawled like a little baby after the second one. The first one, not so much. Second one. But it was just such such a sad story that you can't not cry when you're reading it. It's just, but then it's so, just feels, got so many feels right now. Just can't even describe it. I can just quickly read you a little excerpt from the Even Now and Ever After. So even now, a young woman seeking answers to her heart's deepest questions, a man and a woman driven apart by lies and years of separation, who have never forgotten each other. With hallmark tenderness and power, Karen Kingsbury weaves a tapestry of lives, love, losses, and faith, and the miracle of resurrection. And then Ever After is two couples torn apart, one by war between countries and one by a war within. In this moving sequel to Even Now, Emily Anderson, now 20, meets the man who changes everything for her. Army reservist Justin Baker. Their tender relationship, founded on a mutual faith in God and nurtured by their trust and love for each other, proves to be a shining inspiration to everyone they know, especially Emily's reunited birth parents. That's all I'm going to read from it. Go out and read these. Again, whether you're Christian or non-Christian, you need to read these. Like I said, if you're non-Christian, just read these kind of books. Like, you don't have to believe in God to read these, but you never know. You might read these and think, hey, God's not such a horrible guy. But yeah, that is my last favorite book. Again, I'm thinking about the last book and I'm like, bawl like a baby. Just bawling like a baby. That is my top 10 favorite books that I just absolutely love, and I recommend you read every single one of them because you just should, because they're amazing. I will leave all of the novels in the description box below for you guys to check out, and also comment and let me know what your favorite books are or what books you would recommend to me to read. I don't need you to recommend books like The Hunger Game or Divergent because I am in the process of finishing the Hunger Games series, and I have yet to start the Divergent series, but I do have all the books. But yeah, so anything else, you know, let me know in the comments, or just let me know what you guys like, because I just like to interact with you guys more. So if you guys enjoyed this video, give it a big thumbs up. Don't know why I do 2 thumbs, because you can't give it 2 thumbs. I wish you could, but you can't. So give it a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. And don't forget to subscribe if you would like to see more of myself. And I hope you guys are doing great. And I will see all you fine people next time. Bye! The product I want to show you is from a brand called Too Faced. And I bought the chocolate bar palette. Here is